Hello, welcome back to the 4 Mile Circus. It's episode 3 of Summer Rose Court. We're on Act 2, Part 2. If you remember right, Ruby Rose has been coronated, and there's been talk of opening a portal. She's also gone into the menagerie and found a sort of subclass of people, and met the fabulously cad-like Torchwick with his wonderful chest hair. So we left her when she was sleeping and having terrible dreams. Let's crack on. Okay, we're with the fabulous Glinda. She's always a happy face, isn't she? Good morning, Your Majesty. I like that. I trust you're ready for the day? Not wanting to disclose to Glinda the strange things I've been seeing last night, I simply nod, trying not to look as weary as I feel. Just tell her. Ruby Rose, yeah. Glinda, excellent. I have a few things to run by you today before we make our way to the portals. So that is happening today. Don't really feel like I've had a good look round yet. My peers have been made aware of your arrival and are expecting you today. Ruby, you mean the wizards? That's right, she is a badass wizard. Do all of them live outside the castle like you? Glinda, yes, we try to keep ourselves removed from the daily struggles and machinations of the Rose Court. Okay. I think she explained they're sort of set apart and almost on a level with the royal family, the wizards. We work in conjunction with the throne, not under it. Maintaining a healthy distance is one of our many ways we try to reinforce that fact. Ruby Rose, yeah. Glinda, there used to always be a court wizard who served as a liaison between the two. However, the last one died in the same attack that took the Rose Monarchs. Okay. The position has been empty ever since. Okay, interesting. Ruby Rose, so it isn't your job? Glinda, at this point it is, but only by the barest of technicalities. The previous court wizard was my mentor. I'm fulfilling his duties out of respect for him and out of my loyalty to Lord Ozpin. Okay, Ozpin. Ozpin sat on the throne for 7 years, I think, and it took a heavy toll on him. But back to business. We furnished your room with a larger desk to accommodate some of the maps you and I will be going over later. Ruby, yeah? Yeah? Okay, she's not got much to say this morning. Glinda, and finally there still remains the issue of some of the lesson plans I'll have to draw up for you. Don't think that just because you're out in the desert that means I'll forgive you for not practicing your runes, young lady. Oh, she's a bundle of fun this morning. Ruby Rose, yeah? Glinda, you were supposed to be hiding your identity, not letting the strength of your young mind slip away into the sands. I think that's a little unfair, isn't it? She was sort of separated from her dead parents and hidden away in the middle of the desert. Ruby Rose, yeah. Yeah? Glinda, yeah? Yeah, what? Are you just agreeing with everything I say? Are you even listening to me, Rose? Yeah. Glinda, look at the angry face, angry sweating face. Unbelievable. Ruby, geez, what do you want? For me to disagree? I'm trying to play along here. Glinda, your speech is vulgar and low class. It's very nice. It's just what you want as a wake-up call. No tray with croissants and a coffee. No? No doubt picked up from that Xiaolong girl. Oh yeah, we love Yang. You can't afford to be so casual with every person you meet, Rose. What's calling her Rose? Her name's Ruby. Ruby, is it just like really difficult for you to speak to people without slipping an insult or two? I think it is. I think Glinda got out of bed the wrong side this morning. And shouldn't you be using a more royal title for me? I totally agree with you, Ruby. Glinda, at first I might, but in the brief time I've come to know you, Rose, I'm wondering if taking a rougher approach is the better way to command your attention. I see you sort of trying to temper her sword. Right. I won't scrape and bow to every whim you have just because of your bloodline. No one's asking you to do that, I don't think. I'm just saying, just some croissants. That's all we're asking for. Maybe some strawberries. I've seen many roses wilt before their time. You'll need to work harder than that to convince me you are worth the years I spent searching for you. Okay, fair enough. Okay, fine, says Ruby. I don't want to argue over this. I didn't mean to upset you, Lady Goodwitch. I've just had a really rough night and I'm on edge. Suddenly pausing. Glinda bites back whatever sharp thing she is about to say to instead fix me with a piercing glare. Hello? Rough in what manner? Ooh. They know about the dreams? Ruby, Glinda, you do look tired. Something shifts in her demeanour, almost incalculable. Did anything interrupt your sleep, Rose? Okay, fess up, Rose. Don't hide this. The stern image relaxes, replaced by a flicker of concern. Nightmares by any chance? Oh, tense music. Ruby, no. You're lying, Ruby. I'm fine. Just tired. Just like that, her tone stiffens, a hard edge entering her words again. Glinda, I'm about to be very frank with you, Your Majesty. I think that's her default setting, isn't it? Very frank. There's very frank, annoyed and sweaty face. Ruby Rose, are you ever anything else? Glinda, I hold no love for the Summer Rose Court. Okay, the cat is out the bag. Not the family's too busy plotting against each other to notice this plane is falling apart, nor your sordid politics. Again, it's a bit unfair really, isn't it? Ruby's just been out in the desert minding her own business, tending her dragons. Glinda, whatever sick magic is in your blood that allows you to sit on the throne, sick magic? With no ill effect, holds no interest for me. Of course it does, you're a wizard, you like magic. But Crow, thank you for the pronunciation correction, but Crow believes in the power of the Rose lineage, and Ozpin believes in Crow, okay? He continues to suffer daily and risk his life for Crow's ideals. I thought Ozpin was on the mend, actually. When we last saw him, he seemed a lot better. So for their sake, I'll be patient with you and trust you not to lie to me again when I ask you this. What disturbed your sleep last night, Ruby Rose? Opening my mouth to respond, I choke on the words, a cold sweat building on the back of my neck. I never spoke about my nightmares, not to anyone except Yang. Stubbornly clenching my jaw shut, I slink lower in the chair, feeling sullen and rebellious. No one in my life has ever spoken to me this way. Glinda, keeping secrets, I see. You're worse than the old fool himself. She's talking about Crow. Ruby, it's just nightmares. I don't want to talk about it. Breaking off whatever Glinda was about to say next, the doors to the throne room open wide. A familiar, uneven gait makes my ears prick up. I find myself sitting straight on the throne. It's Ozpin. Ozpin's looking a little fresher now. Lord Ozpin, it would be in your best interest to answer her question, Ruby. What are you doing? Listening at the door? You pervert. You shouldn't be hanging around maidens' doors. Lord Ozpin. Good morning. I do like Ozpin. Glinda is less pleased by his arrival, face pinching up worse than ever. Pinched face. Glinda, Ozpin, you're supposed to be resting. Are you determined to die from overexertion? A bit of concern there. Oh, I won't mourn if you manage to pass away through sheer stupidity. A glimmer of concern, and then it was brushed aside by her miserable nature. Lord Ozpin, hearing your gentle voice whisper such words of encouragement gives me strength to face the day, my lady. Yeah, his face is like, yeah. She's mean. She rolls her eyes, lips pressed thinly together. Lord Ozpin, don't worry about me, Glinda. I'm not broken just yet. And more importantly, if Miss Rose here is already getting the dreams, we'll have to reschedule a few matters. The dreams? Already? Says Ruby. The nightmares aren't new. I've been getting them ever since I was a little girl. If they're important, didn't Crow ever tell you? He was the one who took care of me on the nights when they were really bad. Oh right, so Crow hid this from these guys? A glance is shared between the two, something in their years of experience together allowing them to communicate without words. Okay, so Crow was hiding something from them. He failed to mention this, yes, I wonder why. Perhaps it's because Glinda's so uptight, your lover failed to mention a lot of things. Such as where and why he decided to hide the only person capable of sitting on the throne without dying, so Ozpin and Crow got it on. Glinda Goodrich for 7 years. Lord Ozpin, we've been over this before, Glinda. Whoever let those Grimm into the castle that night had to have been someone inside the Summer Rose Court itself. They got let into the castle. No one else would have been able to lead the horde to the throne room, right, so it's an inside job. Torchwick, his chest hair, and his little cheroot cigars. I think Torchwick arrived on the scene after the royal family died. In the last episode, I think Glinda talked about accepting Torchwick's help and then realising that was a bad thing, so I don't think I can blame him. Everyone else was suspect. No one could be trusted. Not even me. Why? He trusted you enough to leave you on that cursed chair, though, didn't he? To leave us on our own to rally the troops and rout the enemy without a word of warning. Steel enters his voice. It's punctuated by the loud crack of his cane as he jabs it down onto the throne room floor. It echoes in the empty room. Lord Ozpin. Glinda, enough! I haven't known Ozpin for very long, but hearing him raise his voice is an unwelcome shock. Glinda too seems a little subdued, though not at all cowed. Glinda. Rose. Ruby. Yes? Glinda. The nightmares. Ruby. I looked at Ozpin for affirmation. He gives me a tight nod. Lay it out, Rose. Ruby. Lay it out. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to keep them from you. I just didn't want to... Ozpin. Burden us? To sound crazy, says Ruby. Glinda. Try us. With all her rough edges and harsh words, Glinda is not the easiest person to trust. Even if she has saved my life twice, she has indeed saved her life. But I can see she's trying from day one. From day one, all she's ever done is try to help me. The least I can do in return is trust her, try to speak. Come on, get your words out. Taking a deep breath, I hold it for a few seconds, organising my thoughts. Then I tell them everything. The nightmares are usually about Grimm attacks. They're always different. I can't predict what will happen. I'm always scared I'll never wake up. And I've been having them for as long as I can remember. They spiked the night my parents died. Okay, interesting. That was putting it mildly. I had tried so hard to push the memory of that night far down, deep down, where I'd never had to look at it again. Coming back to Beacon meant remembering a lot more than just how to be a ruler groomed for succession. Before that, I was lucky to get 2 or 3 a year. Living in the desert, it became like 2 or 3 a month. Okay, and ever since I left... Glinda, every night? Ruby's not saying anything. It's been hard to sleep. Glinda, so at least on a subconscious level you've already been attempting to attune... So at least on a subconscious level, you've already been attempting to attune with Crescent Rose. I correct my head to the side, the name striking a familiar chord within me, though I can't place where I'd heard it before. Crescent Rose, have we heard about that before? So wait, do my nightmares have something to do with, you know, the protection magic? The one Ozpin used to keep the plane safe? Is that why you guys want to know about them? Ozpin, they aren't nightmares, Ruby. They're visions? Crescent Rose is a powerful tool locked within the throne itself and tied to whoever dares rest upon it. Okay. I get up quickly, glancing over my shoulder to look at the seat of the throne as though it might bite. Ozpin, with time I can help train you to master it. Ruby, what is it exactly? Can I see the future? Glinda, nothing so useful. Ruby, the things, the visions, they're always so vivid. But I never thought they were real. I thought I was just broken or sick. Sick magic, said Glinda. Lord Ozpin, they are real. Everything you saw was actually happening at that very moment. Okay, so she's right. Wow, that is just one of the many powers of Crescent Rose. It's a connection to the entirety of the plane, your kingdom, your territory, so she's getting dreams more and more, so it's happening more and more. As a technical usurper to the throne, my abilities were limited to little more than a warning signal. I can feel, more or less, when and where Grimm attacks are happening. Sometimes I can prevent a tragedy, and I keep them out of the city. Okay. So yeah, they can see when attacks are happening, but it's just there's not much they can do about it, I imagine. But you, Roby? Who's Roby? Who's Roby, Ozpin? But you, Ruby, a full-blooded Rose, the kind of power you're already wielding far outstrips anything even your parents accomplished. You should have only become attuned to the throne once the coronation was complete. Right. If you are already tapping into Crescent Rose to scope the perimeters of your kingdom, he trails off, lost in thought. Wow, okay. Ozpin, we need to begin training at once. If you don't get a handle on these powers soon, I'm not sure what might happen. Ruby, my parents and Crow, they knew about this too? Yes, Crow would often tell me of how intense it could be to wield Crescent Rose. So Crescent Rose is a tool inside the throne? The monarchs would often become trapped on the throne for weeks at a time as they used the Crescent Rose to protect our plane. I remember how Ozpin looked the first time I met him, chained to the chair like a prisoner. He looked awful, didn't he? Looked on death's door. To become one with the ley lines mapped across the land, it can take a terrible toll on the body, more so if you're onto Rose. I was hoping we'd have more time before you started seeing these things. I'm hoping my toolbar isn't going to be viewable all the way through this video. Go away, toolbar. Just go away. Go away. Go away. Go away. Go away. Wait a minute, I think we missed one. That I could ease you into. Okay. The lines on his face deepen. Eyes closed. Exhaustion weighs on him. Heavy. Iron woven into the ends of his robes. Ozpin, it's such a terrible burden, Ruby. And I didn't want to overwhelm you. Ruby, so this is what it means to be a rose. As far as inheritances go, I really could have used something less traumatic. Lord Ozpin, a rose, yes, and a ruler. It's a complex issue, Ruby, and a delicate one. But please try not to be angry with your parents or Crow. I know if you were my daughter, I would have withheld the truth from you as long as I could. Personally, I would have begun preparing for her for it the moment she got her first nightmare. Sorry, that was Glinda. Of course, Glinda. She's a misery, isn't she? She needs to cheer up a little bit. Go out dancing. Have a bit of fun. Let her hair down. Let her hair down. How is keeping her in the dark any better than arming her with the truth? Very true. Lord Ozpin, most people aren't prepared to tell a small child their nightmares are real. Yeah, Glinda is. She's all about that sort of stuff, upsetting small kids. That was something that hadn't quite sunk in yet. Every time I'd seen a Grimm kill someone in a dream, every terrible slaughter I had thought was just a sick, twisted part of my imagination. It was really happening, all of it. Wow, that is, yeah, so she's just watched loads of people get murdered. Maybe sensing my distress, Ozpin lowers his gaze to me, sounding gentle. Are you alright, Ruby? I know this is a lot to take in. Ozpin's got a soul, hasn't he? Ruby, I'll deal with it. Other than seeing things as they're happening somewhere else, what kind of powers does Crescent Rose afford me? At their peak, your parents were able... this is Ozpin. At your peak, your parents were able to quell a horde simply by sitting on the throne and willing it. Wow. Wow, so it's some serious power. Though again, it was hazardous to their health. That's why Crow and I find it hard to believe that a mere pack of Grimm slaughtered them that night. I see, yeah, so they could have just willed them away? So how did they get in? Ruby, Yang and I have walked the walls of the castle a few times as well. I look around at the throne room, chillingly aware for the first time that this is where it happened. My parents had died, right here. I didn't even know how they managed to get this far in. Lord Ozpin, nor I. As for the Crescent Rose's potential, the way it manifests in each new monarch is unique to the individual. You may develop a power that we can't even begin to predict. Superpowers. And can I control when I see things? Can I make the nightmares stop? Ozpin, in time, yes, with a lot of meditation. I thought I said medication. With a lot of meditation and a lot of physical training as well. Glinda, magic is a tricky thing. You will always be connected to Crescent Rose by virtue of your bloodline. The coronation simply solidified it. So the nightmares may never truly stop, but at the very least we can probably get you back to only 1 or 2 a year. Oh, that sounds good. I can live with that. Isn't it better that you know, though, Ruby? When do we start? Lord Ozpin, tonight, and every night after. though for the rest of the day we shall have other duties to attend to. We still need to contact the other planes. That is happening today, is it? I really want to have a look, try and work out the menagerie side of things. So you mean even if I learn how to use crescent rows, stop saying that, use crescent rows, we will still need other people's help. Can't I wiggle my fingers and make the land fight for me or something? Ozpin, it's not quite so simple. Crescent Rose's more destructive powers are at least a measure against the darkness. Trust me, Ruby, you don't want to know what it feels like to have all that power flowing through you. Uncomfortably, I wonder if I should tell him what I already do know. When I attuned myself to the throne my first day back in the castle, and let the throne taste my blood, I'd felt it, like channeling lightning through my body. It actually felt kind of good. The power! The power! Ozpin, so, shall we be off? Though I would understand if you want to spend the rest of the day alone, or learning of Crescent Rose. Okay. What do you want to do, Ruby? I know the portal is pressing business, but I actually do want to have a little bit more of a look around the castle if possible. Stay in the castle today. Is that going to upset anyone? Even through the thick layers of wool and cotton, I feel cold. Ruby, I know this might sound a little cowardly, but I don't want to open a portal today. I'd like some time alone to process this. And later tonight, can we talk more about Crescent Rose and what this all means? Lord Ozpin, of course, milady. Though she doesn't say anything, Glinda sucks in her cheeks to prevent an outright scowl, eyelids visibly twitching. Well, suck it, Glinda. You should. Where was the croissant? You wake me up with croissants, I'll open 100 portals. She's probably going to scold me later for not stepping up to the challenge. Hey, this is day one. This is day one. Didn't they say that the portals take a heavy toll on you? Half kill you? You want me to do this on day one? This is all too much to take in at once. Excusing myself, I exit the throne room and close the doors behind me. Let's have a little scarper around. Here we go. Here we go. Let's have a little scarper around the castle. Resting against them for a second, I close my eyes, take a deep breath, and count to 10. I've been dragged around for too long. Yeah, you do tell them, Ruby. Even if it's just for today, I'm not going to follow anyone's schedule except my own. What should I do now? Okay. Oh, look at this. Oh, clickable. Clickable links. Check on the dragons. Quite tempting, but I'm hoping they're alright. Explore the castle. I like that. Lovely. Look at the tapestries. Tapestries. The tapestries in front of me stretch from the ceiling of the corridor to just a few feet above the ground in height, canvassing over an entire section of the wall. The gold thread must have shone brightly at one point, but the steady march of time has robbed it of its lustre. It's not the only thing. The windows are covered in dust and grime, muting any light that shines through. I can barely see the sky out of them. Is no one cleaning the place? Clearly this section of the castle hasn't seen anyone in a long time. Ooh. Among the portraits is one of my family, my mother, father and myself. Oh. Can we see it? I'm just a toddler sitting on my mother's lap. Feeling heartsick, I turn my back and leave. Oh, okay, okay, we're going to check the dragons in. A reminder of home would be nice right about now. With that in mind, I go to the stables where the dragons are being kept. Hey, what's my castle called? What's my dragon called? I think it's Salika. These stables are different from the desert ones they're used to, but I make sure that mage fire is kept lit next to them at all times to keep the air around them dry. That's right, they don't like the rain, do they? As I approach, I hear Yang's voice, accompanied by loud snarls and hissing growls. She's just wrestling dragons. That's how she's got a six-pack. To no surprise, I find her wrestling with Ember, a block of jerky in her hand, just out of reach of Ember's snapping jaws. Yang's boss, isn't she? Oh, you want to play tough today, huh? You're asking for it. Spotting her chance, Yang clamps both hands down over Ember's snout, keeping her jaws shut. Ember whines, weakly scrabbling at Yang with her front claws. Yang, watch it. Ember's front limbs immediately go slack, though her claws clench and unclench with a desire to strike out. Yang, be nice. In response, Ember just wriggles some more, trying to shake her head free. A low, constant rumble rolls from her throat. Yang, make all the noise you want. I'm still the biggest dragon here, and you're going to do what I say. Yeah, Yang's an ace. Now sit. Obediently, Ember's rump falls down onto the floor. After checking to make sure she won't bite, Yang lets her jaw go. Leaning against one of the perimeter walls, I just watch the familiar scene go down with a smile. At once, Ember tries to go for the jerky again. Yang stops her with an open palm, pushing her snout down in a display of dominance. Yang doesn't yell, but her voice stays firm. No, no, no. You don't eat yet. I eat first. I'm the big dragon. I eat first. This is my food. My food. Yum, 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 yum. Look at the happy face on Yang's face. She makes loud slurping noises, pretending to eat the jerky in front of Ember. The dragon whines and stomps her feet like a child throwing a tantrum. It's not cruel, she's having a bit of fun. Be silent and watch. Knowing that Yang has to continually reassert herself as the leader of the pack, I continue to watch. We've raised dogs. We know what it's like. You have to show them dominance. I continue to watch in silence as she quells Ember's aggression down with harmless displays of dominance. Eventually she has Ember roll over, flopping onto her back in defeat. Oh, rub that tummy. Yang, oh, you're a good girl, you are. Who's a pretty dragon? She strokes Ember along her neck, patting her soothingly. Yang, you were just having a grumpy fuss, huh? Grumpy fuss? At the sudden switch into baby talk, Salika, that is right, Salika's interest is piqued. She stretches out, yawning after a long nap next to the fire. She trots over to Yang and nudges her for attention. Yang, don't worry, baby, I didn't forget you. Come here. Yang loops an arm around Salika's neck, pulling the dragon down to lie next to Ember and have her join them on the floor. She sits with her back resting against Ember's belly. See, this is better than portals, isn't it? A bit of dragon play. Ember's belly. Ember occasionally nuzzles her, rubbing their heads together, jaw to jaw. Salika rests her long neck over Yang's lap, throat trilling and tweeting like a small bird. That's when Yang spots me, waving me over. Yang, hey Ruby, sorry I'd get up, but I've got like 500 pounds of dragon on my lap. Ruby, they look like they're being a handful right now. Salika butts her snout against Yang's chin, snorting in her face. Yang, you could say that. Walking over, I grab Ember by the nuzzle and give her head a playful shake. Her nostrils flare as she explores my hands and sleeves, snuffling for treats and grumbling when she doesn't find any. Well, that was nice. We've done. Is there more exploring the castle? Because that's greyed out now. Let's disappear. More exploring the castle? I'm going to try it. Never know. Tapestries. I think gold threads, not shining. No one's cleaned the windows. Section has been used for a long time. Portrait of the father, myself. Okay, no. So let's go to the library. Do like the library graphic. Unlike other parts of the castle, where pages and servants rush about on their daily task, the library is more restricted. A castle guard stands on duty in front of the heavy doors. One of our people, I'm glad to note. Yeah, because the other soldiers, they're sort of contractors. And they're drunks as well, aren't they? Let's face it. Every time I see a soldier with Torchwick symbol on their chest, I get nervous. A guard nods to me as I enter the room. Oh. Yeah. This is a good place to hang around when I need silence, but not to feel too cooped up. Like I would in my room, I enjoyed the hushed atmosphere. I remember being in here as a child. Oh, that's nice, while my mother read out aloud to me. It's a good way to spend the day for Ruby, sort of just mentally recouping. The librarian at the time had always been strict with me, and while I resented it at the time, I sort of understood now. When I run a hand along the spine of the nearest book, I see the binding shiver with magic. Ooh. Each tome has been carefully enchanted to prevent aging and damage, but even that isn't enough to protect some of the older ones I spot. Those are locked behind glass and key. Remembering what Glinda said about forgetting my runes, I search for a primer on the subject when a loud noise crashes through the library. Your Majesty? Oh, hey, new character. Hi. A man rushes over to me, shaking my hand furiously. At first I can't place him, but as he starts to talk I feel recognition blooming in the back of my mind. Master Oobleck. Bartholomew Oobleck, now there's a name. Ah, if it isn't the prodigal queen returning to her old hunting grounds. I must say it's quite a pleasure to know that you're still alive and healthy after all these years, young lady. A lot of us have started to give up hope. You do remember me, don't you, dear girl? Though it has been a while, so I'll understand if you don't. As if I could forget a personality as big as that. Or a name as long as that. Master Oobleck, it's good to see you too. Oobleck. Oh, and I do apologise for not being at the coronation. I had a few important experiments that needed my constant supervision lest they go awry. He gasps. Egads, that reminds me. Oh, he's off. He's gone. Looking stricken and pale, he zips away in a flutter of paper. So what is he? Paper and semblance. In his wake, the wind kicks up around me. So what is he, like a mad scientist? Oh. Just as quickly, he returns with a stack of books nearly as tall as he is. Never mind, all is well. Nearly forgot to put the timer on the latest batch. While I was out, though, I did remember Lady Goodwitch requested you to be given your required reading for the year, so here you are. Oh, wow. Without another word of warning, he tries to dump the entire pile into my arms. Given that you're going to be somewhat out of practice after so many years away, I, of course, offer my services as a tutor, as I did when you were younger, Queen Rubilla. What? Rubilla? I like it. We're getting a glimpse of her name. She told Yang in the desert her real name, Rubilla. Putting the books aside on the nearest flat surface, I throw up both hands to try and get him to quieten down. Stop, 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 and stop. He stops, looking at me expectantly. Just Ruby is fine, Master. I insist. She wants to keep that name under wraps, doesn't she? The librarian pauses for a solid 4 seconds, longer than I've ever recalled seeing him stay still. I can almost see the calculations running behind his spectacles, so he's the librarian. Oobleck. Very well. Fine by me. Fewer syllables too. Very efficient. Okay. So what can I help you with? Well, now that I'm here, would it be possible to take a look at some of the records of early history on the plain? Of course, my dear. Anything more specific? Anything about Crescent Rose? Anything about how the Rose lineage started, how he claimed rulership? If you have anything on that, that would be great. His glasses gleam with a sudden intensity. Oobleck. A hefty request, though not an unusual one. To understand which direction the tree grows, one must discover how the roots lie. And you are always such a smart young lady. I truly look forward to working with you more in the future, and if you need anything at all, oh God, there she is again. How many times did I... Blinking in surprise at the non-sequitur, I take a moment to realise Oobleck isn't even talking to me anymore. Wow, he is gone again. He speeds over to the window, overlooking the courtyard outside, a scowl darkening his face. If I've told her once, I've told her 1,000 times not to try coming in unescorted. Those ruffians will look for any excuse to bother her. Grumbling under his breath, he unlatches the window and pokes his head outside. Down below, I can faintly hear the sounds of an argument, most of it getting carried away by the wind. How did he manage to hear that? It's so faint even now. Joining him, I take a glance down myself. Hey, it's Cat Lady from the menagerie. The one that looked at me angrily, flattening her ears. Oh, that girl. Oobleck, you know her? Sort of. I saw her at the menagerie. She seemed like she knew me. Does she live in the castle? No, she comes and goes as she pleases usually. Louder he shouts down to try and get their attention. Hey, you there. Hello. Yes, please allow Miss Belladonna through the doors, Miss Belladonna. I'm in need of her assistance. You're going to meet her. Hello. Hello. The argument below continues on, just as intense. It seems they can't hear Oobleck over the winds either. Straightening out, he adjusts his spectacles so that they aren't sliding down his nose. Oh, curses, if you'll excuse me, Ruby, I need to go make sure Miss Belladonna isn't arrested again, or else she's a troublemaker. He's like the Flash, isn't he? He's gone. Like Quicksilver. As soon as I blink, he's gone. When I look outside, he joined the pair of the guards harassing the Faunus woman. Right, so he's super quick. Yes, he is. Curious about what is going on, I follow Oobleck down the stairs and into the courtyard. The librarian is deep in debate with two of the guards. Drawn by the commotion, a few more appear, all of them looking tense. Oobleck, and I'm telling you that Miss Belladonna is bringing me invaluable data that I need for my research. Research that benefits the entire kingdom, mind you. Guard, you can yell all you like. That doesn't change the law. No visitors are allowed further than this point, especially ones who have no business being here. The librarian looks ready to tear his hair out, his green hair. Oobleck, but she does have business here. Aren't you listening? I've been living here for longer than you've been alive. I know this young lady and I trust her. She's been in the castle countless times and never caused any trouble. I can vouch for that. Guard, listen, we all have... She cast a derisive eye over the Faunus. Friends. We all have friends we want to be able to invite inside. If you want the cat sniffing around here so badly, hey, just because she's got cat-like ears, you need signed approval from the manager of trade proving that she has legitimate cause to be here. Lifting up a sheet of paper, the guard taps it with her free hand. And not a shoddy forgery like the one she'd stuffed into her pocket, okay, she's an amateur forger. The Faunus woman, silent until now, speaks up. It's stranger, it's not a forgery. Torchwick signed that himself. I watched him do it. Torchwick again. God, sure you did. I doubt someone like you knows what the manager of trade even looks like, much less his signature. God, oh, of course, how silly of me, you're right. Why would I need to know what my boss's signature looks like? Just quit while you're ahead. Stranger, are you calling me a liar? Look, if you're so sure that's a forgery, then why haven't you locked me up? Forgery of castle documents is a greater crime than showing up at the castle door, and asking to be let in. Spit my words out. God, be quiet. Look at that face. She's got little canines in there. Felines. They're cool. Anyway, stranger, I'll quieten down when you start treating me with respect. God, will someone collar this cat already before she breaks something? The fur on the Faunus's ears and tail bristle up, her teeth baring in a snarl. Stranger, touch me and you'll draw away a bloody stump. She's getting serious out in the courtyard. A feeling of dread rises in me as one of the guards moves in, a pair of shackles at the ready to cart the Faunus away. None of this sits right with me. Come on, Ruby. Ruby Rose, wait a minute. I lift up my voice for attention, and all activity immediately stops. Just what is going on here? I can't help but notice these guards are Torchwick's people, which is already a strike against them in my eyes. Guard, your majesty. Oobleck, oh Ruby, thank goodness. These ruffians won't unhand my friend. Guard, she's being a disruptive presence. I don't think she is she? She just turned up. Oobleck, she wasn't being disruptive until you started threatening her. Quite right. I like Oobleck already. Ruby Rose, enough. They fall silent again. Oh, she's grown into her role. I like it. I turn to the Faunus woman, trying to remember what Oobleck had called her. Miss Belladonna, was it? Belladonna. Blake Belladonna. You and Oobleck work together? Occasionally. Oobleck. Miss Belladonna lives in the southern forests and deals with entirely different species of Grimm than we're accustomed to here. And we compare notes. Okay. Very good information. So what is different species of Grimm? It's important to share knowledge between neighbouring territories. Especially now that we've been spotting unusual migration patterns in the hordes. Though I guess it's too much to hope that some people will understand the importance of our work. You can do your work elsewhere. She still isn't allowed inside the castle grounds. But my tools are here. How am I supposed to study the samples she brings us without my tools? You're just... Ugh. Belladonna, it's okay, Master Oobleck. I'll leave as soon as I can have my documents back. Roman can explain why his permission slip got branded as a forgery. Ruby Rose, you heard the lady. I tipped my head towards Blake meaningfully, keeping my eyes on the guard. After a moment of hesitation, the guard returns the note. Blake can't even hide her pleased smile. Hee. Belladonna, thank you, Your Majesty. Your reputation precedes you. The guard points to Blake, waving over one of her subordinates. Just get her out of here. Ruby Rose, no need for that. I'll escort her myself. They stand down at my command. I take Blake by the elbow and lead her back through the courtyard out to the main gates. No one stops us. Oobleck is close at our heels. Some of the fire leaves her once she realises the fight is over. Belladonna, I really didn't mean to cause you any trouble. Oobleck, I know, dear girl. Belladonna, and thank you for stepping in when you did so. This is a good step. I want Rose to be to get in there with the menagerie. It doesn't seem fair what's going on there. She remembers my title and straightens her back, tense again. Your Majesty. Ruby. Just Ruby is fine. She blinks slowly but otherwise shows no response. Just like a cat, really. Stoic. You're very hands-on for a noble, aren't you? Says Blake. Her yellow gaze falls on my hand at her elbow with a little blush on Ruby's face at my elbow. I let her go, feeling the heat rise up in my cheeks. Belladonna. Sorry you got dragged into this. She pauses. Ruby. Ruby, it was no problem at all. Master Oobleck is a trusted ally. A friend to him is a friend to me. I'm also interested in the work you two are doing. We need all the information we can gather on the Grimm. Oobleck, we certainly do. I need you back wherever you are available, Blake. Whenever you are available, Blake. I'll return as soon as I can, says Belladonna. Maybe after I manage to grab an audience with Ozpin. The mention of Ozpin makes me tilt my head curiously. Ruby, any way I can help you with that too? If you and Oobleck have important research to share with us, the Summer Rose Court would love to have it. Tense silence stretches between us as we reach the gates. I can feel Blake scrutinising me, like she's trying to peel me open and look inside, and it's altogether unpleasant thought. Blake, Belladonna, I've been trying to get an audience with Ozpin for years. Oh, really? But each time we get close, something like this happens. Ruby, I'm sorry to hear that. Oobleck, couldn't you have passed a message along to Ozpin? Oobleck, I could have. No, but this is the first time I've heard of this. Blake, I didn't want to entrench you in my political problems. What's going on? Ruby, well, how about me? I'm pretty entrenched as it is. Tell me what you want. Blake, why should I? My God. Now everyone's crabby. Now she's testing me. I'm no good at this political stuff, but when it's just me and another person, I think I can get my point across well enough. Ruby, I'd like to hear more from the city faunus. Here we go. Yes, Ruby, yes. It doesn't seem like they have representation in the court, and I think that's a shame. Blake, and you assume I'm one of them? I'm from the Southern Forest. Ruby, I saw you in the menagerie. At the very least, you'll know your way around. She doesn't say anything to that. If you don't feel comfortable representing the city faunus, do you know someone who would? Blake, possibly. Okay, we're going to make headways with this. Ruby, how does tomorrow afternoon sound? Ozpin will be there as well. Blake, how am I supposed to see you when even a legitimate pass gets me accused of being a forgery? Ruby, I'll make sure that doesn't happen again. We need to fire these Torchwick guys. Ruby, if you have an address in the city where you feel comfortable accepting letters, please pass it along to me through Master Oobleck. I'll send an official summons for you so we can do this right. Blake, but Torchwick... Ruby, Torchwick isn't in charge of my house and who gets invited inside. Blake, why are you going out of your way for me like this? It's the right thing. It's the right thing. We need to hear from all voices, all walks of life. Only by working together can we really achieve any kind of harmony. Blake, did you write that spiel all on your own, or did someone coach you? Oh, right. All on my own, says Ruby. But she's got a little happy face. But I had to practice because I get nervous telling people what I really think. Writing it out and thinking about it carefully before I say it means I give it all the weight it deserves. Blake, speechless. Glinda is sharp with me because she knows she can get away with it, but Blake's completely vulnerable here. Yet she still challenged me. I wonder if she's this fearless with everyone. She didn't even bat an eye at the idea of being imprisoned, or worse. I can't leave Castle Grounds without an escort, and so that's where she and I part ways. Cool, we're through to the next day. Well, the next day I paced in front of the throne, waiting for Blake to arrive. Once Ozpin and Glinda were made aware of the situation, they agreed to meet with the Faunus representatives. Even though Roman had given Blake a pass, it was his people who had kept her from seeing us. Roman has been interfering with Faunus' attempts to communicate with the court. But why would he do something like that? How deep is his hold on the city? I don't trust him. At least half the guards, and his master of trade as well. Yeah, he needs to go. Ozpin interrupts my thoughts. Lord Ozpin, excited? Ruby, very. I tried looking up what I could, but there's very little information about the Faunus here. We had Faunus in the desert, but the Kata tribes weren't friendly to strangers. Considering what I've seen, that's starting to make more sense. Lord Ozpin, the Faunus on this plane are split into three main groups. The City Faunus, the Southern Forest Faunus, and the Kata tribes to the west. The ones who request an audience are Forest Faunus. Oh really, says Ruby. I thought Blake was going to bring a City Faunus. This group in particular lives right on the edge of Grimm territory. Glinda's here. Very far from us, I might add. Ruby, they still have regular contact with the City Faunus. Ozpin, and they're citizens of the kingdom. We need to cooperate with them. About time. Yang, who's taken a break from training with the regular castle guard, is with us as well. She reclines against the throne with her arms crossed, here in her official capacity as Queen's Guard. Yang, so it's like a delegation or a group or just two? They say they speak for Ozpin. Just two. They say they speak for all three Faunus. Glinda Goodwitch, I don't like the sound of that. It's not long before Blake and her associate arrive. I take my place on the throne, feeling the vines tremble under my hands. Hello, Blake. Blake, Your Majesty. She won't be skipping on my title in front of others, it seems. Blake, I brought a leader of the City Faunus, Adam Taurus. Okay, he might be slightly bull-like. Though we currently reside in the Southern Forest, both of us were born here in Vale, and still consider ourselves citizens of the kingdom. Okay, wow. There's a lot going on there. Adam Taurus, we are happy to talk to the Queen at last. I like him. What's he got? Has he got a mask on? He's got, like, horns? Despite their words, their discontent is clear. They do not appreciate how many barricades were put in their way before they could reach this moment. Blake and Adam start talking politics and establish laws. Their biggest priority is shutting down the menageries. Adam Taurus, this is what I wanted. We are here. Adam Taurus, we think the segregation in place has its roots in positive intent. Yet, Torchwick, keep the Faunus and the humans separate to ease tensions in the city. A place for Faunus to open our own businesses and build homes that cater to our specific needs. Blake, but it's become clear that the execution is flawed. The menageries lack access to the same benefits that a human neighbourhood of similar wealth would. Yeah, it looked like a dump. For example, when our water supply became contaminated, we were denied permission to share with our human neighbours while the problem was being fixed. Right. Doesn't sound fair. Adam Taurus, and when we dug our own well in the meantime, it was completely without aid from city engineers or tools. We had to fund it all on our own. Glinda, as I recall, we did send some of the city engineers down to help you. And as I understand, you turned them aside. Blake, because they wouldn't cooperate with the community. All the plans they drafted up would have caused damage to the surrounding buildings, right? People's homes. And when we tried to communicate that or come up with a different solution, Adam, they stormed out. I sink lower in my seat. All of this seems way too much, and it all took place while I was hiding in the desert. Blake, life has always been difficult for faunus in this city. Ever since the attack on Rose Throne 7 years ago, it's deteriorated even further. Taurus, humans have an unfair advantage. They're treating us worse than animals. We're trying to salvage this before things get any worse. Protest, suggest ideas. Let's ask for their proposal. Ruby, so it's clear what we have right now doesn't work. Let's change it. Here we go. Leader stuff coming in. Leader stuff incoming. And how do you propose we do that, Your Majesty? I don't know. That's why you're here. You're the ones who live in the menageries, so you have first-hand knowledge of what's needed there. Here we go, drawing on their experience. And you're the ones who tried to meet with us for so long. What solutions do you propose? Okay, Blake and Adam share a look. A moment of tension passes between them. Then, without another word, they carry on as though they've rehearsed this. Blake, our first priority is the destruction of the walls. They were built to protect us, but it's clear they're now being used as a cage. Adam, we need every stone torn down. Glinda, we're still rebuilding parts of the city after the attack on the Rose Throne. 7 years ago. What have you lot been up to? We can't spare workers to go destroy it again. Ozpin, what the High Wizard means is we'll need to schedule this carefully and find the resources to begin such a project. It sounds like procrastination. Blake, we have masons and labourers amongst the faunus. Plenty of them have already promised their skills to the task. Okay. I just want to stress the importance of dismantling the menagerie walls more than anything else. Ozpin, that's a bold move. We'll need to proceed with caution. Well, we're all here, aren't we? Can't we make the decision? And wait for a proper time. Taurus, we've waited long enough. Why are we moving by your time schedule when you aren't the ones directly affected? Social problems. We don't need your help. We just need your permission, okay? Or you'll slap us with destruction of public property. Glinda, we might still. The court hasn't agreed to anything yet. Taurus, then you haven't been listening to us. What could possibly be holding you back? This is such a waste of time. We can tear the walls down ourselves. Don't get hot-headed. You're the only thing standing in our way, and we're losing patience. Let's all calm down. Look at the faces on these two at the moment. It's not a good conversation. Glinda, is that a threat? That's so charming. Taurus, am I supposed to grovel after waiting 3 years for you to even listen to us? Glinda, yet now that you have your chance, you're about to waste the opportunity Her Majesty deigned to give you. It is true, Adam. You need to cool your jets. Okay, Blake's the voice of reason. Blake, my companion is merely trying to... The physical barriers between the humans and the faunus are... Glinda, then tell him to mind himself while in the presence of the last Rose heir. Lord Ozpin, Glinda. He puts a hand on her shoulder, but she shakes him off. Wow, this isn't going well at all. This is getting so ugly. This isn't a conversation, it's an argument. Well, you know, maybe from this something will happen. What do I do? I don't want them to fight. The vines on the throne, always moving just under the surface, start getting agitated along with me. I'm not sure how it happens, but they respond to my frustration. Okay. Adam Taurus, I should have expected no better from a band of silk-wearing flat teeth. Flat teeth. You don't care about anyone except yourselves. Keep these two apart. Glinda, I clawed my way out of Grimm's Teeth Mountain trials on my hands and knees. I was the only wizard to arrive in time to save this city 7 years ago. Do not hurl such accusations at me. Adam, don't rest on your laurels. You showed up once and then you abandoned us for 7 years. At that last exchange, a sharp pang of guilt stabs me. The steel vines burst out from their restrictions. The throne is no longer simple stone, but bristling and violent steel, thorns brandished over every inch. I feel them prick just under my skin, easily sliding through the joints in my armour and then the thin fabric of my clothes, and energy surges through me. Uh-oh, she's going to Hulk out. Ha! Ruby, everyone, please, enough. The wind of my semblance amplifies and grows. A gust of hot desert winds tears through the room in a sudden blast, knocking everyone back a few steps. Oh yeah, flame on. This is getting us nowhere. I didn't have this meeting so that we could stand here insulting each other. As I calmed down, so do the winds. They settled down, leaving rose petals scattered across the floor. We are here to find a better solution. Wow, that's pretty cool. Well done, Ruby. Or at least the start of one. I still need your assistance with the oncoming Grimm threat. You need our help as well. We should be allies. Ozpin, the creatures of Grimm grow bolder by the day, even as we are distracted by matters here at home. Soon it won't matter who is Faunus and who is human. That's very easy for you to say, says Adam Taurus. Ozpin, regardless, we brought you here for more than just peace talks. The work you've been doing with Oobleck has not escaped my notice. I'm very impressed by it. Had I known you were trying to contact us, I might have reached out to you sooner. Okay. Blake Belladonna, speechless. The conversation winds down. After the tense moment we had just escaped, I find myself growing optimistic again. There's no reason we can't all work together. Ozpin, perhaps we should take a break to allow time for everyone to have a more level head on their shoulders. I want to continue these talks to reach a more firm agreement. Would you like to return tomorrow? Belladonna, of course. I'll bring the other representative as well. Okay. Yeah, Adam's a hothead. Adam will take our leave then. Ruby Rose, wait a minute. Miss Belladonna, could you and I speak privately about something? Blake takes a deep breath, opening her mouth to respond, but before she can, Adam speaks for her. Adam, of course she can. He reaches out and grabs her shoulders, squeezing with a white-knuckle grip. Blake. Then he is escorted out. Hopping off the throne, I walk over to Blake. Would you like to take a walk around the castle? What? So we can talk? Oh, of course. Mindful of how I dragged her around last time, this time I gesture outside to let her lead. Yang makes as though to follow us, but I give her my best scowly face. Scowly face. Alone, Yang. Yang, I'm just trying to be the Queen's guard. But holler if you need me, she's so laid back. Okay, this might hit the hour mark. It's probably a good point at which to pause this episode. It's a great episode. We've met loads of new characters, and I think we made some headway on the Faunus situation in the menagerie. I'm going to hit the old save button in a second. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. I really have. I'm aware that we should have got to the portals today, but I think there's some interesting stuff being learned. So yeah, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, hit the like button or even subscribe. But even better, get yourselves over to Itch and download the game. It's fantastic. Have a go yourself. Obviously, I'm taking certain pathways in the conversations. You could take others, so it's a load of fun anyway. So take care of yourselves. All right, bye bye.